everybody! Happy Tuesday to you!
Tuesday.
Macaroni Unicorn, I absolutely feel you so hard. I got to about 1 p.m. today before realizing it was not Monday. Like, I had like several meetings, and I was on Monday, and I was like, why the fuck haven't they called me? What is going on? And I was like, oh, it's the wrong. Oh, that already
Tuesday.
happened.
Did you just like lose like Sunday like I did? Because after the lead up to the charity stream, Sunday I was basically like, I am not doing anything. I'm just gonna follow the dopamine. I'm gonna do only the things that I want to do and nothing else the whole day, and it was glorious.
Oh my god, I love that idea. Follow the dopamine.
Well, I mean that's so much
great.
of what ADHD is follow the dopamine, but you also have to function. So when you have a full day where you don't have to do anything, and you can just follow the dopamine, it's great.
Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, Sunday was the charity stream was delightful. I had so much fun. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun doing that. There's that just we for those of you who weren't there, like we did this fabulous, completely improvised, random adventure. It was just so much fun. Oh my gosh. Hi, Cotton Candy!
Yo!
It just made me so happy. And then Sunday was just I'm going to bed.
Yep.
Just I'm going to bed.
There was a lot of sleeping, there was a lot of waking up and then watching an episode of something and then being like, I'm still tired, and then going back to sleep, and it was just
over the course of the last week.
Yeah.
So I had seen random episodes of this in my life, but I managed to get through all of Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra.
Okay. Dang. So you just knocked it out in like I guess they're 20 minutes. There's like 40 something episodes of each or something along those lines?
There's I think there's like 60 something of Avatar and then like 50, I would say like 50 something of Legend of Korra. The seasons were shorter for that. Avatar was like 20 or 21.
We actually went through that as a family, not quite when the pandemic started, but like mid-pandemic, because we were going through. I'm sure everyone was like, "Oh, we're just like going through like either movie or like movie series." We like watched all like the Marvels, and then my brother convinced us like, "Hey, let's watch Avatar," because I had never seen it, and it was great. It was awesome. I was like,
so I gotta say,
this is like, supposed to be a kid's show, but this is so good.
It is. It is. I'm honestly surprised at the level of writing that they have. It was so beautifully done in that one of my favorite parts was how they kept
oh my god, what's
together.
Up? Hello.
Welcome to Tuesday. How was your fabulous stream today? Was it glorious? Oh, it was glorious. I bet it was. Thank you. We will have a great stream.
Thank you.
Awesome. So today, as you can see, it's just Lando and I. So what we are going to do today...
10 months! 10 months!
What? 10 months! Damn!
Crazy.
Damn, Gabe.
Thank you so much.
Good for you. Thank you. Hello, fabulous Pixie, to yourself.
Yes.
How goes it with you?
It's going good. It's Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, you had an opera? You had an... I love that, because we had a little bit of an opera on Saturday too.
You did.
So it's a theme. It's a theme this week in the Roll Together stream team. I love it. Thank you so much, Phantom, for subscribing for 4 months. Absolutely.
I feel like Phantom has always been here. That's kind of what I just thought. 4 months doesn't seem like long enough.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things where there's definitely some people that I see in other streams. Like, we've got a pretty a pretty chill, delightful stream group here, you know.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen some people in other streams where like they'll show up and start screaming for attention, trying to get somebody's attention on that stream, and I'm like, no, Phantom has done this exactly the right way, just by being here.
Yep.
And just participating. Like
Yeah.
if you want to like catch the attention of somebody in a big stream or something, just be there and talk. Just participate. You know, it's fabulous. Hi there, Josh. Welcome. Oh my God, it looks like we are just a little ways away from a hype train.
Oh.
On this random
don't
Tuesday.
mind if I kick that off. I mean, you know, it's just choo-choo, choo-choo.
Oh my God, Shadane!
Oh,
hi, Shadane!
Oh,
Thank you,
Shadane beat
you're
me to
awesome. Shadane's cooler than you, lady.
yeah, no, yeah.
You just need to get used to that.
Proved it
All
right now. I will start. I will, you know, by tomorrow I will be more
Thank
used
you,
to
Pixie.
it.
Thank you so much for the bits. That is fabulous. Now, Lando, you need to keep track of this so we can use it for next week.
Oh,
all
that's
of
a
this
good
stuff
idea.
that's happening.
Okay, I will. I got my notebook and my.
You gotta hold that up. So
Yeah.
we'll add anything that we do today, because today is gonna be a nice chill stream. We're gonna be looking at some Unearthed Arcana, while I take a little more time to pull together the arc for season 3 of Delver's Dream and Hunter's Harvest. So we're actually going to be looking at the latest Unearthed Arcana with all of the fun giant.
Yeah,
all
we're
of good stuff. So that's
Giant.
absolutely.
And the hope is because at one point they did have Unearthed Arcana. Oh, thank you for the 500
Josh, thank you
bits,
so much.
He's like,
Josh
I
is
want.
trying to make
I want
sure he doesn't die next
exactly.
But-
Exactly. He's planning. But originally they had Unearthed Arcana on D&D Beyond, and I don't remember the reason for it, but they did remove it at some point.
So they removed the Unearthed Arcana because it was just getting to be too much as far as coding went. So they would have to like put stuff in there so you could play the Unearthed Arcana, but then they'd have to like remove it, and because it wasn't play tested, it kept throwing things out of balance. And,
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, all that kind of stuff.
So more than likely they probably won't even add it now that WotC owns.
Well, I mean, the thing is, WotC's a $1 billion company and could absolutely afford to have a programmer whose job it was just to deal with D&D Beyond. You know,
or a team of them.
Right? This is absolutely a true fact. There's so we're gonna be doing some Unearthed Arcana. Unearthed Arcana. There is Phantom, never ever feel bad but like you have contributed so much. And this is the thing, just in general to our community, don't ever apologize for not being able to contribute to something. You are here to enjoy whatever the hell is going on. Normally it's fucking chaos, you know.
And I would say, you know, being here and just participating in chat is contributing.
Yes,
like
that's huge.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really makes a huge difference when you're playing, whether you have an engaged chat or you don't. Yeah. You know, like there is a lot of people don't realize that like there's so much energy that you get from chat just by chatting and talking. So I just want to thank everybody for being here, just for participating. Oh my god!
What?
Oh my god!
Crazy!
I love it. I feel like somebody's getting recommended. Like
he's just gonna. Mike's just trying to make it so I run out of space in my notebook writing all this stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm actually on the last page. No joke. I have gone through the entire notebook. It's okay. I have like 3 over on. So.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. Oh yes, I am. So I'm super excited about season 3. Shadang! What is happening?
Calm down.
I feel like Shadang and Mike are just having a battle now.
Yeah. Like we
There's,
get it, Shadang. You're cooler than me. It's okay. Bring his stuff. You know, actually, no one's home, so she's actually in my room. She's just sleeping. So hold on, let me grab her.
Hello. Who's gonna? What's love? It's a golem. You get to see a golem. We'll see you soon, Josh. Have fun recording. Oh my God, who is it? Is that little puppers?
Oh, she actually just got groomed yesterday.
She's so pretty. Oh my God, so pretty.
They did a really good job because last time, I don't have pictures. I will get them. They shaved her really dumbly, and so she looked so dumb. We were just laughing at her because she already looks kind of silly normally because she looks so scruffy, but she was like super shaved, and we're just like, oh my gosh, they made our dog look so much dumber than she already looks.
When I was growing up, we had an Old English sheepdog named Megan, and Old English sheepdogs are the ones that have like their eyes covered with hair.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, they because of that, you can't ever shave that, because if you do, they'll literally go blind.
Oh, because they got used to the lack of like sunlight and stuff. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
So what would happen is we lived in Sedona, Arizona at the time, which gets very, very warm in the spring and the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would shave her. Or we'd take her to the groomer and they would shave her. And what Old English sheepdogs, when they're not shaved, look like they're just a bundle of hair. They literally look like if they're lying down, it just looks like a big round puffball.
Yeah.
And they look sort of big and burly, but then you shave them and they're built like a greyhound.
Yeah, they're like all skinny and weird.
Sleek, and they are ready to run. They are great, but our little lady still had to have her bag.
Yeah, you cut her eyes.
So she literally looked like a little princess prancing it just with her bag.
So funny.
Because they dock the tail. When she gets excited, she doesn't have her tail to wag, so she would wag her whole butt. And we had like a long hallway that led to the front door, and there were just dents down the hall because if she heard someone coming, she'd get so excited.
She slam herself in the
wall.
Oh, that's so great.
It was oh my God. Just the cutest little thing.
Gosh,
Damn!
What are you doing?
What just happened?
God.
I mean, it's just for a story about an Old English sheepdog. We gotta talk about dogs more on this stream. Damn.
I'll have to post pictures on Discord. I think I'll have to ask
Oh my
around,
God.
but I'm sure someone has the before and after for the first time she got cut. Because we already make fun of her. We have like so many nicknames for her. We call her like Dumlin, or like she went to the park the other day and she got bowled over by Goose, our other dog, and she was like super dusty because she's got curly hair, so it just packs in. So my dad just started calling her Dustbin. So he just has so many nicknames.
Oh, yay. Well, thank you so much today. That's amazing. And today would like you to send them pup pics.
Give them pup pics. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will ask around because they're all on different people's phones. But I'll blow up the Discord with some.
Oh my God.
Dumb looking photos.
Wait, Shadane, what is this animated GIF you got? The little animated emote. Is that from your server? This like on fire. Is that an on fire snowman? Like snow unicorn?
Where are you looking?
In the chat.
Oh no, I think that's the. That's one of the cheer. Like when you do bits, I think that's one of the options you can pick.
Oh,
Yeah.
for us or for everyone?
It's a universal cheer. They're called
I
cheer modes. Yeah.
Ew. Brambles fancy now. Well, do you all want to see our take on the new Unearthed Arcana? Because I'm super excited about giant stuff.
Yeah,
All the
giants.
giant
Giants are
things.
cool.
I can't wait to bring a bunch of giants into the campaign and just have them step on you. Just just stepping on you.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Some steppies.
That's the thing. We all know I'm that kind of DM who absolutely will have some giant come, like in the middle of you all having a picnic. Like nothing even like crazy. It's just
a picnic.
Somebody just dies.
Yeah.
Oh, picnic and death and roll another character.
Perfect. Just like someone that's been here for like a while, like you do that to like Diraxis, and you're just like, oh, all right, I guess.
I love it.
We could be a subclass as a giant, be a giant vampire lady. Be Lady Demetress.
She would be so abusive with those powers. Oh my god. Well, let's look at it. So the first thing that we've got is this Barbarian Path of the Giant, which for me really is sort of like the path that all barbarians that I've ever played with should be taking. Like, regardless of what subclass they're using, they all just want to be giant.
They all want to be giant. Although my first ever character I rolled up was a halfling barbarian, and he was just a bunch of rage in like a really tiny package, and was constantly just angry and mad at everything, which I thought was so funny. because I'm a big person. I'm just under 6'4", so I thought it'd be super funny to play like someone that's like 3 feet tall and just like
so
a rage monster.
That you are 6'3". That's like somebody saying, I'm 33 3/4 years old.
Sure, I guess like a 12-year-old child. That was the description I felt like I needed to do.
I'm sorry that someone in your family is 6'4" and you're super insecure about it. Like,
oh man.
Oh my god. Oh Lord, I love it. Yes, becoming a large creature that commands space of a huge creature would be really fantastic. And
how does that work? Like, Mike, it's mechanically, but just like, I guess we'll see.
You know, it's a halfling just becomes a normal too. You're an asshole.
Yeah. he's just normal.
They're still a halfling. They're just a very tall halfling. Okay. Yes. All right, let's look at this. Barbarians who walk the path of the giant draw strength from the primal forces that are the giants and their elemental ilk. Their rages surge with elemental power and cause these barbarians to grow in size, transforming them into avatars of primordial might. During their rage, a barbarian may take after a legendary storm giant, hair turning white and eyes crackling with lightning. Others adopt the monstrous features of apocalyptic titans, rending the world around them so that it may be made anew.
Okay. I'm sorry. This feels like this was made for gore. I'm sorry. Do we need to retcon his storm hero?
If there's a reason for it, don't forget that you all have planar touchstones that are very specifically like just elemental forces of the universe. You know, there are definitely ways to change things. You know, I don't think that will be too difficult.
I would just have to program this thing into D&D Beyond myself.
Yeah,
Which,
I mean, and this is one of the things that I do love about D&D Beyond is just the fact that it is delightful and you can do that, you know? Like, you
yeah,
can just set it up perfectly. And I bet you that you could just, with just a couple of tweaks, could literally just, like, put this in, just copy and paste it.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely like some, yeah, but pretty close.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's delightful. All right, so let's see what we get.
Yeah.
So at 3rd level, we get Giant Power. When you choose this path, you learn to speak, read, and write Giant or one other language of your choice if you already know Giant. Additionally, you learn either the Druidcraft or Thaumaturgy cantrip. Very nice. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for this spell.
I feel like
So
thaumaturgy is just like yelling. it's just
Yeah, no,
yelling
it's-
really loud.
It's yelling, but it's also, you can make like a little sound or you can make like a little light somewhere. It's super good for distraction. And for me, like Druidcraft is absolutely one of my favorite cantrips because the way that it is set up, it allows you to do all kinds of cool stuff with it. Where you're dealing with like I've definitely been in situations where people are like, so it says I can make a little rain cloud. Could I use this for something? And literally it's like, you know, I'm setting up this weird mechanical wheel over here where I just keep casting Druidcraft and fill up buckets and that turns this wheel and then it does it. And I was like, yeah, we can do that. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Can I make a flower grow out of their head? And it's like, how dirty are they? Like,
How much soil is on their head? Like, if it's more than this, then you can do it.
Yeah, we just need to know. These are just the things we just need to know.
Will the plant have enough nutrients from the dirt on your skin? The flower. These are the questions we need to ask.
Yes. Yeah. These are very important. And then you need someone with prestidigitation to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So,
well, canonically, I haven't taken a bath in 6 months, so I would say yes.
I definitely feel like this is a super fun one. And giving a barbarian just that little bit of magic that is not that's not sort of a combat magic thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I do like the flavor. You could have like thaumaturgy feels like more of like an aggressive kind of barbarian, where Druidcraft is more of like a sweetheart kind of. Like a gentle giant kind of thing.
I would absolutely let a barbarian with thaumaturgy, like whatever they yell with their rage can be amplified with thaumaturgy.
Yeah.
To scare people. Totally. You know, like there's suddenly like as they start growing or changing because of rage, like suddenly shadows manifest around them. Just stuff like that.
Perfect.
You know, like
love it.
Now you know what I really want. Okay, a lot of you are not old enough to remember this, but the original Batman series with Adam West.
I know of it.
Where it's like every time they would get into a fight, you would never see like the fight choreography was terrible. It was just laughable. And so what they would do is every time somebody like threw a punch, instead of seeing it connect, they would miss very obviously, but on screen what you would see is a big thing that said pow or zap or like thunk or like just like it was coming out of the comic books, like it was a thought bubble. And I would love a barbarian that used thaumaturgy to like create little things.
Yes. I feel like my headcanon is they did that because Adam West didn't know how to hold back his punches and was like knocking people's teeth out. And they're like, okay, don't hit him. We'll just cover it up and it'll be fine.
It's fine. I mean, I love Adam West. I love that Adam West like made a career in his later years of just being a caricature of himself.
No,
like he always plays like Adam West doesn't play any role now except Adam West. Like they're just.
Am I thinking of someone else, or did he pass away like a year or two ago? Or am
I don't know. He might have.
I feel like he did pass away, but I could totally be wrong.
Yeah. No, but he was. I mean, he was so fantastic. I loved him. Like in everything that I've seen him in the last like 15 years.
Mm,
Just been
yeah.
just a delight, you know.
Yeah. Mike says he
so,
did pass.
One day, I hope to be like Adam West.
Where you just play yourself for the rest of your life. Oh, I love it.
Oh my god. I'm trying to think about now, like, what would the caricature of me be? Like, just an awful, enraged DM trying to murder everyone all the time and constantly failing. Like, it's straight up, I would be Skeletor. Like, I'd be Skeletor the DM. Like, that's...
Yeah, a whop and a
the
pound
thing.
for Adam West. Rest in peace, buddy. Oh,
That
yeah,
is that's the new Kyle. Skeletor the DM.
perfect.
I love it. I would say Mumra, but I don't think most people would.
I know who Skeletor is, but I've only seen something from the meme when he like laughs and runs away. Like that's like the only visual thing I've seen of him other than just like his picture. So I know like next to nothing about him.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, if I was going to be Skeletor, I would have to hit the gym real hard. Like that would be, because Skeletor was jacked.
Yeah.
He was as jacked as he can. There's,
That's
like,
so
no,
funny.
it's not me. All right, what else do we do in the third level? We've got Giant Havoc. Your rages pull strength from the primal might of giants, transforming you into a hulking force of destruction. While raging, you gain the following benefits. Crushing Hurl. When you make a successful ranged attack with a thrown weapon using strength, you can add your rage damage bonus to the attack's damage roll. Nice. Your reach, giant stature. Your reach increases by 5 feet. And if you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you are wearing. If there isn't enough room for you to become large, your size doesn't change. All right, so the
Grow big.
so you can chuck rocks now. It's fine.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so maybe I'm missing a mechanical component. When it says successful range attack for thrown strength weapons, you know, I'm assuming that with thrown weapons you can choose if it's like a spear or like something you could choose to use your strength or your dex essentially, or are you forced into dex?
I think that there are specific weapons. I'm going to throw that one to chat because that's a good question. How is that calculated? Can you switch between the two? Because I always thought that it was a ranged weapon most ranged weapons are dexterity.
Yeah.
You know, just
I know typically. I know that for the soul knife, and that's the one I thought of because it's interesting class and it works really effectively to do a soul knife barbarian actually, because it specifically allows you to use those knives with your strength modifier. So my guess is if it's not every weapon, it's weapons like spears, javelins, but not things like bows. But
yeah, I feel like bows, like in 3.5, they had a mechanic.
Bow isn't a thrown weapon.
So bows aren't a thrown weapon, but they had a thing in 3.5 where you could get bows, or you could get a compound bow, which allows you to use your strength bonus instead of your dexterity bonus.
It's not ranged.
You're right, Mike. It's not ranged weapons, Lando.
It's thrown. Okay. I now recognize that as a dumb question. Okay. You want to make fun of me in chat? That's fine. That's fair.
Yeah. Make fun of him harshly. I hope you cry.
Yeah. Well.
Hope you cry tonight.
Fine. I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. Anyway.
But I mean, I think specifically what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a situation where you can throw boulders like a giant.
Oh,
you know,
totally.
Like that's the aim. There's
that'd be cool. Just have like a thing of, instead of a bandolier of like javelins or like spears, you just have like a sack of rocks that you carry around.
I'm sorry, did you say a bandolier of javelins?
Okay.
I am trying to figure out how one would wear that.
They're a back bandolier, okay? Whatever. It sounded right in my head.
I'm just like, I feel like it would be sort of like a Mr. Sinister cape. Where like all the javelins
just
on the back like are dragging on the ground.
Luke says,
Like,
just don't sit down.
So
It'll
that
work.
they don't like actively poke you in the back of the head every
Right.
time you take a step.
They're collapsible. They're collapsible. There you go. They're collapsible
Or maybe
javelins.
they're sideways. They're sideways, so they're just very far.
You can't go through doors. You're like, oh, hold on. You have to like take
Absolutely.
out individual ones and then like go. it's like a 3-minute process to go through the doorway.
It absolutely is, as it should be. How dare you?
You can't have such an advantage of a javelin bandolier and not be hampered in some way.
No, that would be insanity. Insanity, I say.
Oh,
Let's get to the next.
okay.
So your reach increases by 5, and if you're smaller than large, you become large. So I feel like this is Karhani's class 100%. Who starts with literally a
giant
tiny
barbarian.
increase, and then just becomes large and starts murdering people.
Oh yeah, it doesn't even say become a size larger. It just goes.
No,
It just says
just
straight to
large.
large.
Yeah, so
Dude.
all of these new classes I love, or the new races where you can choose to be small or medium.
Yeah, you just go straight to large.
Yeah, just
Big.
done. Just done. And then you add 5 feet to your reach as well. I'm just thinking about like a barbarian who's using a reach weapon like a spear or like a whip.
Yeah.
And just at that point, like when you're large, your reach is already 10 feet.
Oh, is that just the thing you get for being large?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your reach. So your reach when you're medium is 5 feet, and it increases by 5 feet pretty much as you like.
Oh,
reach
gotcha.
size,
Okay.
Because your arms get longer.
Yeah, no, that
And
totally makes
so-
sense.
You've got 10 feet plus 5 feet, plus it's a reach weapon, which gives you, I think, another 5 feet. So
My guess though is that they're including that 5 feet as the large, and they're not intending you to have a 15-foot reach. That there's because the layperson would say, "Oh, you just become large," and not realize that there's an inherent increase of reach. My guess is that there wasn't an intention to do 15,
That's
but
not
that
what
would
they
be
wrote, though.
wicked.
So this is the reason that Watsi will ask for feedback on these. So you can say, "Oh, I think you forgot something."
Yeah, you
All
didn't
right.
clarify. That would be a
Yeah,
15-foot reach.
Because that would make you a, what? If you had a whip, you could, that would be a 25-foot reach. 25 feet.
So 10.
Because reach gives you, reach gives you an extra 10 feet or an extra
I think
5?
it's extra 5.
Okay, so it's 20 feet, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be 20
So-
feet. That's so insane.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Just, and I'm thinking about, like, if you had, like, whips or spears or something like that, the number of, if you could increase the number of reaction attacks, what the fuck? When somebody leaves your range,
Opportunity attacks?
opportunity attacks. If
They're
you
pretty
increase the
stingy
number-
with those. I remember one thing increases it, but it might be like a homebrew deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because having multiple, that might have been reactions. Maybe there's Yeah, do you know
Well,
of any?
the thing is, so in 3.5, there were a couple of feats that would give you cool things like that. You would have, there's one thing that gave you essentially it was the mobility feat. Instead of just giving you more movement, it actually said that you could have as many opportunity attacks as you had dex bonus.
Oh, dang.
So if you had 20, you would get 5 opportunity attacks a round.
And they added that to the mobile feed? or something.
No, that was the mobility feat.
Oh, interesting.
In 3.5, and then they.
When I think of that, I more think of like you're not the one moving; everyone's moving around you. But
it's you being able to hit like a whole bunch of people at the same time.
Okay, gotcha. Mike saying you make a hulking or like a normal character, and then they turn into a giant, and they're like basically the Hulk. And if you make him a bugbear, then you get I don't know if you just add 10 feet for being a bugbear. You might add 5, but still, dang, that'd be insane.
I mean, that's at that point that's some sort of weird, some sort of weird medical experiment that's happening.
You're just a full-on arm monster at that point. You're just all arms. Your legs are probably really tiny.
Feels shame for your long arms. Oh my god, no. So I feel like that's definitely broken. That little bit of that little bit. And I think jumping up too large, regardless, I think is fine.
Totally. Again, my guess is that it's just a 5 foot, and that's all you get. So you get, if you have 5, you get 10, which I think is, that's fair. I feel like, because I think reach is good where like it only gets really really broken when you have something like Polearm Master, where you can keep people from getting in close enough to touch you because their range is 5 feet. Most of the time they just come right up to you. And the fact that you have a range of 10 feet doesn't really make a big difference.
Well, the thing is that if you hit the Sentinel feat, then they can't move too. So
totally, yes.
Or Sentinel, something like that. But the other thing too is it would allow you to stand outside of somebody else's reach, attack, and then retreat without ever exposing yourself to an opportunity attack.
Although you're a barbarian, that'd be kind of interesting strategy to do. I mean, it would totally work. And you could be like the bane of your DM.
I'm thinking about like if you've got like a melee heavy group, then you're standing outside of that, throwing things or getting 15 feet away from somebody and whipping them, something like that. That allows you to like dip in behind one of your comrades without exposing yourself to that opportunity attack that they're trying to block you from,
Yeah, there's definitely ways you can heavily abuse this, make it significantly more powerful than what it gives you right here. There's a lot of nasty combos and really obnoxious and mean things you can do to your DM.
That's very rude. You should never do anything mean to your DM.
Yeah, your DM is sacred.
That's very rude. Yes, Michael, it is 100% okay. All right, next we've got Elemental Cleaver, which you get at 6th level. So those things are just 3rd level. Like, now let's see
those
what
are
else
all. Yeah, 3rd level. That's it.
Your bond with the elemental might of giants and their ilk grows. So first, just a writing thing. It distresses me that they use the word ilk both in the description of the path and then used it again. I'm just like, no, there are other words.
Like, just highlight it, and then
a conjoined group, of something, or a similar societal situation. Your bond with the elemental might of giants and their ilk grows.
You also say kin.
Weapons with primordial energy. When you enter your rage, you can infuse one weapon of your choice that you are holding with one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, thunder, or lightning. While you wield the infused weapon during your rage, the weapon's damage type changes to the chosen type. It deals an extra 1d6 damage of the chosen type when it hits, and it gains the thrown property.
What?
With a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. If you throw the weapon, it reappears in your hand.
What?
The instant after it hits or misses the target, the infused weapon's benefits are suppressed while a creature other than you wields it. While raging and holding the infused weapon, you can use a bonus action to change the infused weapon's current damage type to a different one from the above damage types. I'm sorry.
That
fuck
is
all
so fucking cool.
That's a no. So essentially, every weapon that you own immediately becomes a magic weapon
with returning.
With the returning property.
Yeah.
Everything
And
is
so
now returning.
Mjolnir's hammer, thrown hammer. No, I mean honestly, if you want to just do it, just like throw a great axe. Why the fuck not?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. I'm like, you suddenly have like, instead of having like a bandolier of javelins, you just have like a whole like thing of great swords. You
don't even need multiple. You just need one. It comes back to you. You might have one spare, but you don't need it. You throw it and it comes back, and you're like,
I can't. That's so you've got all this extra reach, and you can now throw things.
So it's interesting because like this ability so like is very, very tailored to like range. So it's interesting that they also, I get that it's a Path of Giants for sure, but it's like on the one hand you have like you're big and you have long reach, and on the other hand you could throw things and they just come back to you. Like I guess you could play it either or, but it's interesting because typically those things conflict in my mind, at least to a degree.
Right.
Just like, what are you trying to do?
Well, and I think that's what they're trying to sort of limit it a little bit, because how many times can a barbarian go into rage? Like twice before
level 3. I think it's 3.
Yeah, so they're trying to limit that because it can only happen while you were in rage.
Okay, yeah, so it's only when your rage is your big. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's still getting to pick your damage and getting an extra d6, and all of your weapons become returning weapons, which means that you can do multiple attacks in a round with your returning weapon.
The only thing I have to say that makes it so that it's not like as crazy as maybe it seems is that the d6 is stagnant, at least it looks like, and it doesn't get... Oh, no, just kidding. 14, it gets bigger. So I mean, this is a pretty substantial.
Yeah. No, this is a thing. This is absolutely a thing. So yeah, it's but don't forget, you also get your rage bonus on thrown weapon attacks.
Yep.
All of that. So this is very specifically for crazy monsters. Is really what it is.
Totally. I mean, it won't work for Gorf anymore because Gorf can't throw his fists. Or could he? He could throw his skeletal fist.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be, you just like throw a fist of...
Well, I mean,
I don't need to punch you. I can just...
watching Avatar. I was just watching, Legend of Korra, and all the earthbending guards had like the rocks all over their hands, and they would just
shoot them out.
Throw their fists.
That's legit.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one thing that I adore about that is the way that they kept combat so interesting.
Totally.
It didn't matter when it was happening. It was always interesting, and the finales were always amazing because they understood the flow of having multiple parties. And this is one of the reasons that I'm like, yes, split the fucking party. Like, go do other interesting things. Don't just sit in the middle of a combat and try to take somebody down. Like, go try to, do something crazy over here and destroy a section of the room. Go turn off these traps. Go do all the things, But they have this amazing understanding of the flow of the finale, which would allow you to be in the middle of a huge fight and then immediately appear someplace where they're trying to figure out some other thing. It's like, here's a completely different section of the fight that's going on over here in the air. And like, I'm thinking about like the finale in in The Last Airbender when they were in all of those columns of rocks, and so they're off destroying everything, just insanely powerful, ridiculous combat. You've got the other team up in the airships trying to take out all of that before they destroy everything, and then you had another team off in a whole different area trying to help like do something else. And there was just you kept flipping back and forth, and the tension kept building and mounting, and it was never but they also understood, and this is the thing that I think a lot of DMs don't understand, is the fact that you cannot have a straight trajectory on tension. That there has to be like a goal that is happening in a combat, and sometimes that goal can shift. And there have to be moments when the tension can come down so that it can lift back up again, you know, where it'll be like, oh my God, they got this thing, and no, it's not the right thing. This is, oh, it's not working. There's another obstacle in the middle. Oh my God, they gotta get through this. And it allows for these ups and downs, even in the middle of combat, that allows you to keep the energy up and going and keep people engaged. Whereas if it's just, it gets blah, 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 eventually you can't sustain it. People can't sustain that emotionally, and so everything starts falling apart.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about
that's a really good point. I mean, there's a reason it's like, I think last time I looked, it's like in the top 25 best rated shows on IMDb or something crazy. Yeah. Which I love IMDb because if something's rated really highly, it means it's really good. You know, sometimes there's things that I think are good that were rated poorly, which is fine. But if it's rated good, I've never watched anything that was rated well, and I wasn't like, wow. You know? Yeah. So I use that a lot, but you know, there's a reason that it's up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also I think that they had such, especially in Legend of Korra, they had such an appreciation for the fan base and for the world that they lived in, where it was at no point that they like have to, like so many television shows now, so many of them will literally take season one, and if it's successful, they will just do exactly the same thing over and over again. You know, and it's like, one that I just watched that made me so sad that they kept doing this was Zoo, because the concept is amazing. Yeah. Where it's like, there's something going on, there's something mutating the animals, and that's altering their behavior. And now animals that we used to understand and we used to be able to stay safe from, we no longer are safe from. And they're, you know, starting to take over the world, and it's crazy. And every single season was exactly the same thing, where it was like, you need to go find 6 items and you need to get them together. And it doesn't matter if the science doesn't make any sense or if you directly contradict yourself from in one season or from season to season. It's okay because science says that it's different. And I'm like, and one of the things that I loved about both of the series is that, first of all, the world was persistent. Yeah. And it made sense. They didn't just retcon shit for no reason. Yeah. You know, things would change and people would like be affected by that change all over the world. And not everything came easily. It wasn't like everyone, you know, was celebrating the Avatar all the time. It's like, she fucked up a couple times. Yeah. And people were like, what are you doing? You know, there's, you know, but also every single season was totally different. There was always like a big threat at the end, but each one was a completely different kind of threat, you know. And Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know, was a 3 seasons of a single story. Totally. Just trying to stop the Fire Nation. Yeah. Like it was beautifully done. And that every season followed, it was legitimately like a 60 episode movie. You know, it was just really well done. And then Korra, all of the callbacks, all this fabulous callbacks.
How long was Korra after, like, not in canon, but like how long?
It was something. It was like 70 years. I want to say.
Sorry, no, I meant in real life. Like, how long between Avatar? Okay.
No idea.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, but they had like all of the old characters were either there at some point or like they all had families, you know, they were growing up and things were happening. But then you also, just the fact that you had like in The Last Airbender, you had the cabbage merchant, and then and then you had like the cabbage industry, like the cabbage corporation, you know, in
Yeah.
Korea. And I'm like, that's fabulous. And they're just little things like the pro benders that had their powers taken in the first season, like show like a bunch of the minor characters from all four of the seasons show up in the band at the wedding in the final episode. You know, like I'm like, that's pretty delightful, and I love you for it. Gift of Gabby 1, yes, absolutely. This is a giant UA. I'm super excited about it. We're talking about how this elemental cleaver thing is way OP. Like this subclass is so OP. It is ridiculous. So let's look at Mighty
It's pretty
Impel.
significant.
At 10th level, your connection to giant strength now allows you to hurl both allies and enemies on the battlefield. As a bonus action while raging, you can choose one medium or smaller creature within your reach and move it to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. An unwilling creature must succeed on a strength saving throw to avoid the effect. If at the end of the movement the thrown creature isn't on a surface or liquid that can support it, the creature falls, taking damage as normal and landing prone. So you can literally juggle enemies now.
Yeah, you can just throw people around, allies and enemies. New-ish. Hold on, I could figure that out for you. One sec. Let's see, when did it come out?
This is the latest UA.
May 23rd is when it came out, but yeah, it's the latest one.
Yeah, there's I'm thinking about things like throwing a rogue into somebody so that they can do a sneak attack.
Yeah, they made a mechanic for the fastball special. I mean, people have been doing this for as long as there's been small and big people in D&D, but they just made an actual. They made it part of a subclass.
Yeah.
Now you can do tier enemies too.
So it's one of those things where you can like pick up one enemy and throw it into the other, and if the enemy's 30 feet away, then they both take 3d6 damage, because you take 1d6 damage for every 10 feet
that's right.
You go, you know, or you can just throw them 30 feet into the air and let them fall, you know.
I guess
all kinds of fun
I wasn't
stuff.
even thinking about that, but yeah, technically 30 feet in the air is an unoccupied space.
Absolutely.
It's really I love how they said within reach and move it instead of saying throw, because it's very obviously thrown.
Oh, so you can't add your barbarian rage to the damage. That's why you are hurling it and not throwing it.
Oh, because the creature would count as a ranged weapon.
Yeah, it would count as a thrown weapon. Absolutely.
Okay, but here's the interesting thing. It says at the end, the thrown creature. So, before they said move, and then now they say throw. So, I guess they can't really make up their mind.
Oh, yeah. They would need to definitely say the hurled creature and specify a creature is not a thrown weapon, unless you have what is that? What's the feat that is improvised weapon?
Oh, improvised weapon?
Yeah, you would have to have that feat for it to count as a thrown weapon.
There you go. Perfect. Aaron Janasi, what is up?
Oh my god. Did Aaron Janasi come by? Hi! We are having fun looking through the latest Unearthed Arcana, which is all about giants. It's so overpowered. It is ridiculous. We are talking about juggling our enemies and throwing them into each other and just having absolute delightful chaos. And because I just watched all of both The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, that is also being pulled pretty heavily into here as well. So there is let's see. So the final thing we get with this one is the Demiurgic Colossus at 14th level. The primordial power of your rage intensifies. When you rage, your reach now increases by 10 feet. Your size can increase to huge. And you can now use your mighty impel to move creatures that are large or smaller. In addition, the extra damage dealt by your elemental cleaver feature increases to 2d6. So at 14th level, as a huge creature, you would already have 10 feet.
Again, my guess, this is me reading what seems like the intention rather than the letter. My guess is that their intention is that if you had 5 feet, you then had 10, now you have 15. Unless I guess you're technically a bugbear. But because you're like, oh, yeah, now you just have a 35-foot reach.
I love it.
Yeah, sure. Why the fuck not?
Right? Oh my gosh. And Erigenasi, I'm just so happy whenever you're here. You always put a smile on my face. Yes, we've got, but by the letter of this.
Sure, totally.
For huge, you would have 15 feet as a huge person. Then you would add another 10 feet, so that's 25. Then if you had a reach weapon, that would add another 5, so that's 30 feet.
Yep.
And then if you had like Polar Master, so like that would add another 10 feet.
And if you're a bugbear.
So that's 40. So you could potentially have a 45-foot reach.
That's absolutely insane.
No, I mean, that makes you a dragon.
Yeah, you're basically...
Or like a roper or something. Like, it makes you an insane person. Yes, baptized. Yes, absolutely. A giant weed whacker. 100% that is the case. Oh my god.
And so here's a question. Does Sentinel need is it melee weapon, or can it be thrown to stop people?
I think it has to be a melee weapon. But my question would be, if you've got the thrown ability thing, does the throw start at the end of your reach, or does the throw start where you're standing?
That's a great question.
You know, because your reach would be longer than your throw.
Yeah, because the normal range is 20 feet. Because so even if we go by what
my god, wait. So if you have a 45-foot reach with the mighty impel, what that means is that you can literally like pick someone up and then go like smack another person with
just
them
like
and
toss
drop
them
them.
Like a little beanbag.
Just very gently pick up, go whap.
So even if we go by probably what they intend, and we guess that it's a 15-foot reach for the Colossus, you know, your thrown weapon is only an extra 5 feet longer than your reach.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about like if you had those thrown weapons and it's like 30 feet away.
Yeah.
It would like what I would want to do to my poor DM would be to like take like 2 great swords, like throw them up in an arc, and then pick somebody up as my bonus action, throw them into somebody 30 feet away, and then have the great swords come land through both of them. Just go slice. Like that's what I want to
do. That's insane.
Yeah, because I am a bad person. So, all right. So, chat, what do you think about these insane giant mechanics?
I think that, you know, in and of itself, like, it's significantly powerful. I think that the power doesn't come from what we see here necessarily, but just how easily it is to abuse it with things like feats and all these kind of crazy things. If you said no feats, no any of this stuff, this is powerful, but I think you could argue somewhat in line with other stuff. But
so this is the issue that you run into when you get this expansive. It's the same thing that happened with 3.5.
Yeah.
Where there comes a point where, and it happened with Magic the Gathering too, there comes a point where there are just too many combinations to keep track of.
Yeah.
And you cannot tailor it so that the power creep doesn't get insane.
Totally.
And seemingly innocuous little things suddenly become these insane things. Yes, baptized. Absolutely.
I don't think anyone would be very happy if you brought this to the table and be like, hey, unless they just really are like, that's fine, like. But yeah, this is like the min-maxing ripe for abuse, and just like, yeah, to be clear, I love the concepts of it.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be pulled back a little bit.
A little bit.
There's so the thing that I always go back to is the essentially the third level nuclear bomb, from 3.5, which was you could one shot at third level if you had the right feats. You could one shot at Tarrasque. There's essentially what it was there's in one book there was a feat that allowed you to, anytime you had a spell that had an area of effect, you could and did damage. It was called explosive spell, and it would throw you to the edge of that area of effect. So your area of effect spells can become more effective at higher levels, because not only were they doing the damage that the spell was doing, but sorry, that was a motorcycle passing.
Oh, I was like, did you turn on your garbage disposal or something?
Yes, I did. Sometimes I do that. Don't judge me.
No,
how dare you?
Thank you for the follow, BBC the game.
Yeah, there's it was so you had explosive spells, so that if you did a fireball, for instance, not only if somebody was at the center of it, they would get thrown 20 feet in some direction, right?
Okay.
So it would add an extra 2d6. Does
that only happen if they hit something else, or how does that work?
If you hit the floor, it counts too.
Oh, okay.
If you're just moved 10 feet, it's fine. But if you get thrown 10 feet, or slam into a wall, yes.
Gotcha. So if you're airborne, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
There's so you would have that. You have explosive stuff, right? And then, it was a 5th level nuclear bomb. Then what you would get is something, there was another feat in a different book. And mind you, at the end of 3.5, there were 70 books. 70 sources.
How long did the 3.5 run for, roughly?
At least a decade. And so this one was, if you are holding any ice or snow in your hand, you can add 1 point of damage to any spell. So you could literally, for certain things, it was just, a little bit of a power creep, where you could.
You said if you had snow in your hand?
Yeah.
Just
so
universally.
You would have to be, it was what a part of the Arctic adventures. So you could just pick up snow off the ground and suddenly, whatever you're doing. So if you're doing some sort of, charm spell, you could do a point of damage or something like that. But, it just wasn't, there were certain things that it was useful for, and there were certain things that it just wasn't.
Sure.
But if you combined that with the explosive spell, and then you took the spell Locate Town, where the purpose of that spell was, if you're lost, you can cast this spell, and you would be aware of every major population space, every major population source within 500 miles. So when you combine the 3 of them, what happens is you add 1 point of damage to this 500-mile radius spell, and then everything gets blown to the edge of that radius. So that means that everything gets thrown at 100 miles times 10 feet. So it's 500 times 520 times 1d6 if there's nothing to stop you. But also, if you like centered this spell on a terrace, you can have the terrace fly 500 miles up and then come crashing down.
That's
Doing
insane. I mean, 500 miles up. That's just into space.
Well, it also could launch you into space.
Yeah.
So you can literally you have to wait until a certain time of day, and then you can just launch into the sun.
You're like, see ya. That's insane. All because you picked up snow.
Yeah, but every single person, because they're all normal people,
everyone dies.
Hit points. So if you were in a room that has walls, you would get slammed into those walls and take 1d6 damage plus the 1 damage from the snow.
I mean, right? It'd be if there's a wall anywhere within the trajectory of the 500 miles you're being flung.
Well, no, but what I'm saying, but don't forget, so it'll move you until you get blocked, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you're standing right next to a wall, you'll only take the 1 damage. But that's still enough to kill most commoners.
Yeah. It's so fucked.
So this is the straight up. So that's the genocide spell. If you want to kill a country, that's what you do.
Well, it's kind of like the peasant railgun, where basically you just line up a bunch of people and have them hold like a spear, and then you basically have them all hold the action so that they all pass the spear, and it rules of written happens within 6 seconds, and the speed is so fast that it just does a bajillion damage. But it's just I mean, this game it's not meant to be perfect in terms of
no.
You just say actually no, you can't nuke 500 miles of people.
No. It's very specific. It's one of the reasons that I don't like the phrase that I use is toxic, is toxic optimization.
Yeah.
So it's, hi Marcus.
Hey. Imagine being in the cave with stalactites. Yes, and just get thrown. Oh,
absolutely.
Sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would be that asshole that would take that subclass and then live in some gorgeous palace where all the walls and the ceilings are covered in decorative spikes. So you can just say, nope, shut up. and just stick it to the ceiling.
God.
It's fine.
I thought you were going to go a different direction with that and say that it's all padded so that it doesn't matter. You just hit the walls. You went with spikes. You chose violence.
I did. And I think it's time for us to take a little bit of a break. So before we head off on our break to come back and work on the next thing, which is going to be a fabulous druid subclass, everybody go and hydrate. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself today. I know that it has been a rough weekend for all of us. So absolutely, make sure that you are taking care of yourself. I absolutely want to shout out Hero Forge, who is our sponsor for this. They are absolutely amazing. And every single time you see us playing, you will see Hero Forge characters right behind us because they take your art to the next level for people who have no artistic ability, like me. I can take it here and I can put it out there into the real world in 3 dimensions, and it makes me so happy. So thank you so much, Hero Forge. And while we are away for about 5 minutes, hit !raffle so that you can be entered to win some fabulous Phoenix Dice. It's Phoenix Dice. And when you win Phoenix Dice here on Planar to Allies, you get to choose any dice that you like on the entire website. So get excited about Phoenix Dice and hit !raffle to get you some. And we will be back in just a few moments.
See you soon.
Hello again! I hope that you all continue to have a delightful Tuesday as we are having fun going through this fabulous Unearthed Arcana. And now we are moving away from Barbarian and into Druid, Circle of Primeval.
Ooh.
Absolutely, let us know like what you think of these fabulous, fabulous little things. What we need to question, what we need to send, what strongly worded letters we need to send to Watsy about things in the Unearthed Arcana.
I feel like this has to be like you are or you have a dinosaur. Like if that's not what this is, I'm gonna be upset.
We'll see. We'll see in a minute.
Really.
The Circle of the Primeval teaches that though the land may change over time, it never truly forgets. By tapping into the time-worn memory of the earth, these druids summon and bond with the spirit of a primeval behemoth, a hulking creature that once ruled the ancient world alongside the giants. The most well-known primeval behemoths are the dinosaurs.
Yay!
But spirits bonded with members of the Circle of the Primeval have also taken the form of ancient predecessors to today's common beasts and other fantastical titanic creatures. Working alongside their companion spirit, most druids of the Circle of the Primeval spend their lives delving into long-forgotten places and preserving the remnants of bygone eras. As a druid's power grows, so does their companion. The beast starting near equal in size to its druid partner before increasing in stature until it too towers over the land.
I think this is the Beastmaster that we all actually wanted.
Oh yeah, well this is one of the crazy things from 3.5 is that there was a mechanic for druids in 3.5, which druids were so overpowered. Like they're still overpowered, but they were so overpowered in 3.5. Because you were a full casting class, plus you had your wild capabilities.
Yep.
And you had your animal companion, right?
And you have like healing too, which like
that was part of your full caster, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, so you were a full caster that like essentially was half cleric and half wizard, or half cleric and half sorcerer. And but with your animal companions, when you hit certain levels, things would change. So I think it was like 6th level, and then like maybe it was like 4th level, and then 8th level, and then 12th level. I think there were like 4 or 5 levels at which things changed. And what it would mean is that like, so at 1st level you'd have like a little doggy. You know, you could get, I think the most powerful thing you could get at 1st level was like a wolf.
Yeah.
When you got to your first leveling up of your animal companion, what would happen, you would choose one of two things to happen. You could trade out that animal companion for a much higher CR animal companion. Or you could level up your animal companion. And what would happen is that they would get like essentially 2 extra hit dice, extra strength, extra dexterity, potentially extra attacks. And once you got to a certain number of hit dice, they would increase in size. And some creatures,
that's
so
super
you can
cool.
So there was like your wolf would eventually become. They had like in 3.5 they had a mechanic where for each creature that could increase in size, they would tell you when it would happen. So if you had like a wolf, you could just give them like, instead of having like, I don't know, I'm making up numbers here, but instead of having 2 hit dice, once you got to 6 hit dice, then the wolf would automatically become large, you know? So it was just, it got a little crazy, and eventually your animals were so strong and fast that they were just tearing everything apart. But if you got to the top of if you kept like switching out your animals, eventually you could get like a T-Rex type thing. It was just
I really like that, because I think, there's something to be said about like I want to have X kind of animal, but I recognize that in order to keep like a wolf, mechanically I'm gonna suffer, because it's gonna be Amber's in D20. Thanks you so much for the raid. Welcome. Welcome, raiders.
Yay, Ampersand! Welcome. We are talking all about the Unearthed Arcana that got dropped a little while ago. That's all about giants and delightfulness. Currently, we're talking about druids, which I love. So let's look at this. So at second level, you get something called Keeper of Old. Your connection to the mighty primeval behemoths allows you new insight into the ancient world. You gain proficiency in the history skill. When you make an intelligence history check, you can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the ability check. That's delightful. All right, cool.
It is cool.
Let's say yay for that. That's cute. It's a nice little second level thing. Oh, this is a very long thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, dang.
All right.
Okay.
Second level,
Buckle
Primeval
up.
Companion. Starting when you choose this circle, you can call upon a primeval creature whose spirit is bound to you. As an action, you can expend one use of your wild-shaped feature to summon your primeval companion, rather than assuming a beast form. The companion appears in an unoccupied space of your choice within 30 feet of you. The primeval companion is friendly to you and your companions, and it obeys your commands. See this creature's game statistics in the primeval companion stat block, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. You can determine the cosmetic appearance of the companion. For example, your companion may evoke ancient predators like raptors or saber-toothed tigers, or it might be more inclined for defense, appearing as an armored ankylosaurus or a woolly rhino. These choices have no effect on the companion's game statistics. Well, that makes me sad. In combat, the companion shares your initiative count, and it takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and uses reactions on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is the dodge action, and lets you take a bonus action on your turn to command to take another action. That action can be one in its stat block or some other action. If you are incapacitated, your companion can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. The companion remains until it is reduced to 0 hit points or until you die, at which point the companion vanishes. If you use this feature to summon the companion again, and you already have the companion present, the first companion immediately vanishes. Anything the companion was wearing or carrying is left behind when the companion vanishes. All right, so your primeval companion. So that's all right, cool. So we've got that. That's a thing. That's a thing that's happening. And I mean, cool. I'm gonna wait and see what the stat block has to say. But like the fact that there's no difference, like it's just a cosmetic difference, sort of makes me sad. You know, like I wish.
Yeah. I mean, I get the need to do that, you know, but that is.
Oh no, it's great. It's great for like in 3.5 there were so many animal companions, and summoning was done so differently that like you had to like when I was DMing, I would make my players make like little index cards that have like, if it is not on an index card and immediately available to you, you cannot summon this creature because we're not going to spend 40 minutes while you try to like write out a stat block for it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So there's yes. All right, so their armor class is 13 plus your proficiency bonus. Okay,
that's cool. I like that.
Hit points 10 plus 5 times your druid level. All right, cool.
Okay.
And their hit dice is equal to your druid level. Fabulous. Speed of 30 feet. Strength is fine. Dexterity is fine. Constitution is good. Intelligence is terrible. Wisdom's fine, and charisma is not great. Okay. So let's see. Saving throws. You get Dex and Con. All right. Dark vision. Understands all the languages that you speak, and it's got the same proficiency bonus as you. Its actions: strike, melee weapons. You get a +2 plus your proficiency bonus. Cool. 1d8 plus proficiency bonus, bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, depending on what you want. And reactions: when a creature the companion can see hits a target with an attack, and the creature is within 5 feet of the companion, the target takes half the damage instead, and the companion takes that half of that damage. All right, so I am. Oh, it's a medium beast. All right, so it starts out as medium, and honestly, pretty sort of meh.
Yeah, you know, I wish they would have done something like, you know, you could pick from these X stat blocks, and then add your proficiency bonuses to these stats, and that way there was a little more options.
Like just even taking the things that were mentioned, like an ankylosaurus, so it's got crazy defense, but only has its tail club attack. You know, there is, or then, like an actual raptor, which
Yeah.
is super,
Right.
like, will just tear something apart. Yeah, I'm a little underwhelmed. I guess at like second level, having a whole extra creature next to you
Totally.
is great.
I wish there was a little more options for customization.
Yeah, well, maybe there will be.
I want to give them credit in terms of I really like the idea of having stats tied to proficiency bonus because that's an inherent way that the creature is going to increase, and you don't feel the need to switch it out.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, you could have done something where you had like pick between these three and then add proficiency bonuses.
So the proficiency bonus thing is something they do for a lot of different stat blocks that are tied to subclasses.
Oh, really? I've never seen it before.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of subclasses where your proficiency bonus is the thing that determines the power of like the spirit that you can call on.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this is something they've used before, but it is super useful, and I love the fact that they are doing that because it definitely.
I haven't seen it in 5e yet, but I mean it could already be there. I just I like it.
Let's see what is next. We've got. Hold on just a moment.
Prehistoric Conduits.
At 6th level, you get Prehistoric Conduits. Fabulous. You can learn how to channel your magic through your Primeval companion. When you cast a spell with a range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your Primeval companion. In addition, if the Primeval companion is affected by a spell you cast that allows creatures to make a saving throw against its effect, the Primeval companion has advantage on its saving throw. If the Primeval companion would normally take half damage on a successful save against this spell, the companion instead takes no damage on a successful save and half damage with no additional effects on a failed save. And so I feel like what this is leading up to is like that you want to focus on your spell casting for this druid.
Yeah, where the wild shape is basically you dump it all into your companion.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, all right, okay, because that's something that again, like in 3.5, that was just automatic. At a certain level, you hit. Like there were things that were attached to like the level of a wizard or a sorcerer, or a druid, where it's like eventually this is just the case. There's also the thing that makes me so sad in 5e is that you don't have share spell, where it's like if your animal companion or your familiar, if you cast a spell on yourself, you can also, without expending any extra magic or spell slots or anything, it automatically gets cast on your familiar as well.
I feel like there is some kind of feature. It might be a very specific subclass. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I feel like there is something that has that. But I think it's very specific. But yeah.
Yeah, it used to be very much, and it was great because what you could do is you could like cast, like mage armor on yourself, and then that would armor up your animal companion.
Oh, that's super cool.
There's like you can cast invisibility on yourself, and suddenly both of you are invisible.
I think part of it is I think they're so afraid to make any kind of companion overpowered that they consistently, I think, it falls short of the mark in terms of being balanced because they're afraid to make it too powerful. So they, they're trying to.
Well, this is one of the issues that I have with like summoning is in 5e, where I consider it so boring because like, in 3.5, it would be a certain, like you would have a list of like 20 different creatures that you could summon with each spell. And they had a specific spell at each level. So it was, summon monsters 1, summon like natural creatures 1, summon spirit.
Gotcha.
Each one had different sort of spot in there, and every level it would be, okay, now summon monster 2, summon monster 3, summon monster 4, and it was that level. And each level had very specific things that you could summon. And now when it's like, okay, here's like, you can like grab anything and it'll summon this many of it depending on, how high you're gonna, like how much more you're gonna cast.
Yeah.
It doesn't level properly, because it was with Summon Monster 9, you were summoning like Baylors and stuff
Yeah.
with a next level spell. And now it's like, okay, with like you can summon a bunch of wolves at a certain level, you know, like or one wolf at a certain level, but instead of things getting more powerful, you know, okay, now you can summon 2, now you can summon 4,
Yeah.
you can summon 8, which just makes life more difficult for the DM and mechanically doesn't do much, you know, like as you get up in levels and suddenly people have things like fireballs, you know.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I'm gonna cast this and there's gonna be 8 wolves. And I was like, there will be no wolves.
Yeah, they will be all gone. There
There's-
were
yeah, so-
wolves, now there's none.
I'm wondering if like the people that work at WotC were all DMs and like every one of them had a conjurer, like a fucking summoner
Yeah,
section.
and they just,
They're like, never again. Because I would have done that.
Baptiste says, would you like this ability to give you only a couple choices of companion or prefer to player select a companion?
I personally, I like having sort of a list of choices, and then
Yeah.
you can go off list if your DM says it's okay.
I think
it's
that's a
one
good
of the
idea.
things when you're dealing with D&D in general, and you're writing a book. You're writing this book for people that have been playing this for 30 years and for people that have never played it before. So having some sort of structure involved that allows people, that gives people an idea of what they can do, and then allowing them to go off script if they want to, really helps, especially new players, get the hang of things, or old players that have only ever played martial classes and suddenly want to play, you know, a spellcasting class. It can be very overwhelming if there aren't sort of lists of things. And Baptized, it's one of the things that I loved about the creature lists in 3.5 when it came to summoning things, is that was very specifically a thing. Your alignment dictated which creatures you could summon. And it's like, you know, if you were summoning things and you were good, they all came from the upper realms. They were all radiant creatures, you know. And if you were an evil caster, then they would all come from the lower realms. And it's, you know, I appreciate the fact that WotC's gotten rid of the alignment system pretty much overall. There are still moments in my campaigns where it's gonna matter, you know, but in general, I think that people put too much stock in it, being able to say somebody has evil alignment, and then anytime things got into a gray area, it just made things so much more difficult. It was very difficult to have like an anti-hero, for instance, who like was bad and now was trying to make themselves better. Like that arc was very difficult in 3.5 because just, you know, they could do it, but at what point does their alignment change?
Totally.
You know, and when have they done enough? And those questions those sort of like super philosophical moral questions can get really sticky in a group of people. So I am glad that they've moved away from that. But I do love the idea of like, you know, a cleric of Asmodeus can only summon things from the 9 hells, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think people are more complicated than like what alignment kind of puts people in. I think, you know, I think there's definitely like people kind of fall within a range of alignment, and you know that range can vary slightly, but you know, not like a crazy amount. But to say that like, you know, a character's only lawful good, I think puts the character in a box that doesn't allow him to grow, and it's not really interesting.
Yeah, I know. Like my alignment would be like chaotic horror show. You know, like that's my alignment as a DM. All right, we've got the next thing at 10th level. So you've got your animal companion, you're good at history, and now your animal companion can cast spells for you. You get Titanic Bond at 10th level. The Primeval Companion grows to large size, and when you summon it, you can grant it either a climbing speed or a swimming speed equal to its walking speed. In turn, the Primeval Companion lends you some of its terrifying might. Once per turn, while your Primeval Companion is summoned, when you hit a creature with an attack or deal damage to a creature you can see with a spell you cast, you can force that creature to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the creature is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Okay, that's cool. Like, I think that's an interesting. I mean, that's a fourth unit that we've got.
Sorry, what's it? Goblin, you're okay.
The Dragon
You're okay,
Goblin. Gollum is screaming. Everybody, don't be alarmed. Lando does have a dragon bone golem in his room. So just if he comes back to us, great. If you see just a spray of blood on the screen, okay. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that. Sorry. This is a very, very specific example of why we call Dublin dumb. So she's in my room right now because there was no one else home, and the door was closed. And as soon as she heard any kind of noise upstairs, her thought process wasn't, "Oh, mom and dad and my sister are home." No, it's there are killers coming in, and they're gonna murder us all. And if I don't bark, we're all gonna die.
Probably.
So, and then she has to be let out to go see, and then she's like, "Oh,
it's fine. It's fine."
Sorry, guys, that was pretty loud. Apologize. World security cat.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Oh. Sorry, continue.
There is, let me see, that's why I don't like the Oathbreaker Paladin in 5e, because the requirement is that you have to play it as evil, but what if the Conquest Paladin doesn't want to conquest and just wants peace?
Yeah.
The Devotion Paladin is no longer feeling like their devotion. Yeah, no, that's super legit. I think that that's a holdover from 3.5. There was, in 3.5, Paladins were required, you could not enter the class unless you were lawful good as an alignment. And if you did anything to break that alignment, or to go, and they were tied to gods, specific gods, instead of ideals.
Yeah.
So it was, so if you did anything to piss off your god, or if you did anything that took you out of lawful good alignment, you were then an Oathbreaker Paladin.
So were Paladins then more specialized clerics, essentially? That
they were sort of
melee?
In the lore, it was sort of like the churches were made up of paladins and clerics.
Yeah, okay,
and
okay.
More martial churches, like the paladins were in charge, and more sort of healing-oriented things, the clerics were in charge.
Gotcha.
But they were sort of the military arm of each individual church.
But the evil churches apparently didn't have any martial, like. I mean, I guess. Like,
I think that they did. There were some. Later on, there were some paladins that were like evil churches. But the thing is that 3.5 was not designed. It was not designed to play evil characters. It was assumed that your characters were going to be good characters.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So there is. So everything was aimed at that, and they didn't really flesh out most of the dark gods until they were needed for like a campaign setting or something like that. Like
okay, that makes sense.
Down Orcus, then they would give you the real lore on Orcus, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's a holdover from 3.5. But I think Paladins in 5e are, I feel like they're more geared towards just being like in 3.5 they were super annoying because Paladins were always the ones who were like, no, we have to do this, because they were all lawful good.
Yeah.
And so if you were not following the law, the Paladin, like, I can't tell you how many TPKs happened because friggin' paladins were like, nope, that's against the law. I'm going to go alert the guard that you are trying to do this because I have to, or else I'm going to lose all of my powers. Or they could turn on the entire party and murder all of them. And it was totally fine because that was the law. You know, like it was just.
I feel like a specific kind of person would play that and like be like, yes.
Oh, they
like, like, you know, like in 5e at least, I get the drop Paladin. They're one of the most self-sufficient classes. So if you're playing with a bunch of knuckleheads, you know, like I get the draw. Let's just say, but
well, for me, paladins right now, paladins in 5e, it's very much like, you know, when you're playing a video game and you look online and it's like, if I've never played this video game before, which class should I choose?
Totally.
It's Paladin is the 5e version of that.
Yeah, no,
where it's like,
100%.
this is a class that has martial magic, can handle themselves, can like stop you from getting taken over. You know, you get extras like anything you need a buff on. Paladins have that buff for you.
Yeah, it's crazy because they don't lose out all that much from a fighter or even like a barbarian, but they also have like amazing support capabilities too, which just makes it like they're just so powerful. Like paladins are just so good.
Well, I gotta say, like when we had our paladin in season 2, it was so annoying for me as a DM.
Yeah.
Because everybody got a +5 on all their friggin' saving throws.
Yeah.
And just I'm like, wait, okay. So I have to throw some CR 23 creature at you if I actually want anything to happen besides.
No, 100%.
The thing that, for me as a DM, the thing that's super annoying about that is that it turns combat into a slog, where it's like I can't do like really. I won't say that. There's always a way to do really cool shit, and I feel like we do cool shit on a regular basis.
It makes it harder for sure.
Well, it makes it harder, but it also, unless you're homebrewing something with insane DCs, you know, like if you're even like, let's look at Medusas, you know, like it's impossible. If there's a paladin in the group, it is impossible to turn anyone to stone. And that's like their big feature.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, you're facing this and this is what makes it dangerous. Nope, not dangerous anymore. Okay. It's just a lady with some snakes now.
Yeah, it's just a snake lady. That's, you know.
Fine. And she's got a nice dress.
And maybe there's a chance, but it's.
Yeah, so it's things like that. Like I would be much more down with it if it's like, you know, they got, you know, it's like they would get everybody gets a bonus of, you know, like half of your provisions or something like that. You know, there's just
because if you build your character to max out your charisma right away, even at really low levels, you get. I guess you don't get the aura to like 6, or maybe higher. It might be like. But anyway,
but it's just.
It's obnoxious. I get it.
The fuck comments. Not all paladins, though. There's a lot of paladins.
A lot of them. I get it.
But getting back to the druid, Titanic Bond, I do like this mechanic. Now, it wouldn't work if there was a paladin in the opposing party.
Yeah, I also feel like Frightened is a good mechanic when it hits, but it gets phased out. Like at level 10, you're starting to encounter a lot of things that have resistance or are immune to being frightened. So that's kind of underwhelming to me, but
I feel like it's still super useful because there are a lot of things that aren't. You know,
that's true.
There are plenty of creatures out there that are not immune to fright.
Maybe my experience is that you just threw everything at Gorf that was immune to frighten, and I just assumed everything passed.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's probably exactly what it was.
Yes, Linda, that's why the person was undead. Season 2 is what you were facing. Because otherwise it would be every round, everyone around you would instantaneously be frightened.
Yeah.
So, people in the audience who don't know, Gorf had a fabulous magical weapon that was evolving continually. And I would always evolve the weapon based on, for all of my characters, based on a situation, right? So it would be situationally what would actually happen to this. Like we had somebody who had Shadow Blade, and one day they pulled the Shadow Blade out of a pool of white Abishai blood, and so it gained a frost ability.
Yeah.
And then, so things like that. And Lando's thing was with Thorpe is that eventually you got to the point where if you did at least 25 points of damage in a single round, everyone within 5 feet of him would have to make a wisdom save or be frightened. Because he was just destroying something in front of him. So he kept finding ways to be always doing 25 points of damage.
Which, I mean, as a barbarian, was not hard. It was not difficult.
I definitely should have made it like if you do like 50 points of damage or something.
Or
like
maybe
that.
like a percentage of their health, or I don't know, something.
Right, like there is. If you one-shot something.
Yeah, or like, you do 50% in one attack. I don't know. Yeah. But 25 was a pretty low bar.
Yeah, well, don't forget you got it when we were. Like,
no, that's totally true too.
I should have just scaled that.
But then
like
I remember
10,
I was like,
10 hit points per level that you offered.
But then I remember like asking like, oh, like, does anything else happen? He'd be like, nope. I'm like, yeah, it's immune to fright. Which again, I totally get.
Ridiculous.
So
now we've got our final big thing,
let's
our
see,
capstone
14.
ability. It is called Surge of the Ancients.
Ooh.
You have learned to fully harness the Titanic legacy of your companion. As part of a bonus action you use to command your companion, you can expend a spell slot of any level to heighten your primeval companion's might, granting it the following abilities. Now, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like that. I wish that would have been
so you
earlier
use your
time.
Yeah, you use your beast shape to summon the companion, and now you can use your magic to empower it. So really, you're concentrating everything into the companion.
Yeah.
All right. Hulking Behemoth. The companion becomes huge and gains temporary hit points equal to 10 times the level of the spell slot expended.
Wow.
Very nice. If there isn't enough room for the companion to become huge, it attains the maximum possible size in the space available. Mauler. On a hit, the companion's strike deals additional damage equal to 1d8 plus the level of the spell slot expended. Titanic Stride, the companion's walking speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. These benefits last for 1 hour until the companion vanishes or until you expend a spell slot for this feature again. So as soon as it loses those temporary hit points, you can just do another spell slot to give it more.
Okay, honestly, I love this. I kind of wish they had done something where they had like 9 of these, and as you go up in levels, you get to pick, and because it's already scaling on spell slots, it's already scaling.
Yeah.
So that would completely eliminate the need to have like a list of stuff, because you're basically creating a custom creature every time, which I think is so cool.
So that's something that they had with Scions, actually, in 3.5, where it was... So the Scion class was sort of a magic-wielding class, but it used a completely different style. You had power points instead of spell slots. And so power points... Now, the thing about 3.5 spell slots was that you got extra spell slots for a wizard if you had a high intelligence, or for a druid if you had extra wisdom, all that kind of stuff. But you couldn't sort of shift your spell slots around at all. You had to slide whatever spell you were going to have in that spell slot, and you couldn't change it until the next morning when you rememorized your spells.
It's like a more intense prepared.
Yeah, so it would be... So it's things like, in 5e, you can have like, all right, I've got 5 spells memorized for first level, and I can use any of these spell slots for any of these spells.
Yeah.
In 3.5, it would have to be like, okay, I'm going to prepare 1 mage armor, 1 shield, and 3 magic missiles, for my first level slots. And once you cast that mage armor, it was unavailable until the next day.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what they did with Scions is they have power points where like a first level Scion spell, regardless of what spell you were casting, cost 1 power point. And a second level spell cost 3 power points. And a third level spell cost 5 power points. Up until you got up to like 9th level, at which point it cost 17 power points, right? And so you had a limited source, a limited pool of power points, but you could use them to cast whatever spell you wanted, and every single spell could be elevated, up to a different spell slot, or would do more damage, or would do something different, something like that. And the summoning there was this ectoplasmic thing you would pull from the astral sea. And you could give it different features depending on how many power points you put into it, and it would get bigger and stronger and things like that. And then there were prestige classes where you get and feats where you would get extra things with it. So like if you just concentrated on those, by like 5th level, you could create these devastating monsters, that could come out and do a bunch of stuff. And so I appreciate this. I'm just looking at this. So when you get this, you can cast 7th level spells. So you could have a companion that deals 8d8 damage with every attack.
I think the base is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was I'm like, okay, that's okay. All right.
I guess for me, I'm just not a fan as much as having like your capstone subclass ability be like a thing that completely changes your playstyle completely, rather than a continuation of what you've been doing in a more powerful form. It changes a little bit to make it more interesting, but not so that like, oh, now that I'm 14th level, I finally feel like I'm playing the subclass now. Like to me,
sure.
that's disappointing to me. I wish it would have been like along the thing. That's kind of why I liked how the progression went with the giant
well,
one.
I think if they did something like, at 10th level, what's the level where you can cast spells through it? 6th level. So it's like maybe at 6th level, instead of like you can cast spells through your companion, but give them a list of sort of milder abilities that you can use your spell slots on.
Totally. That's what I was really. That's what I want. I think that'd be cool.
Like I would adore something in there that would give you the ability to sort of shift the element if you cast a spell, but only like you can like give up a spell slot or like specifically cast a spell into your companion, and if it has an elemental effect, then the companion gains that elemental effect.
Yeah, or
something like that.
Or something like boost their defense. I mean,
absolutely.
they kind of have like the 3 categories like defense, damage, and speed. But it'd be cool if they had, again, milder versions of those before, instead of at 14, which is a high level to play before you're like, oh, now I can play the class. Way was intended.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that this could be crazy cool because it's a druid riding dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's a dinosaur.
But it is. It's a druid on a saber-tooth tiger.
Yeah.
Like, it should be better than this. Like, So I appreciate them for what they're trying to do here, but overall, I'm going to say, meh.
It's like a 6 out of 10.
Get where they want to.
Like, you get points more for the potential of what it is rather than what it is actually.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you could so easily do this if it was like Ankylosaur, Tyrannosaurus, and Triceratops. Where it's like you have something that is like a baby version of it at 2nd level that's like medium sized. And the reason I picked those is because Ankylosaurus is all defensive, Triceratops is a mix of defense and offense, and then Tyrannosaurus is just all offense.
All.
And just as you go through, it gains, it gets bigger, it grows with you, and gets bigger and stronger and more fabulous. And you can do cool things with your spells to empower it. at the end of the day. You know, that way it would level up with you and be really cool to have on its own.
Yeah.
And then the capstone ability would suddenly make it friggin' terrifying.
Holy.
Running around the battlefield on your friggin' Triceratops.
Yeah.
Like I'd love something where it's like you're on the back of a Triceratops, and instead of casting like Ice Dagger, you know, you like just touch one of its horns and it just shoots like a giant icy horn at someone.
Nice.
You know, just stuff like that. Like I want stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see if the last
See if the Runecrafter can make up for
subclass
that.
is super extra delightful. Let's see. And Phantom, I'm sorry you have to work late on that.
Yeah. That's the worst feeling.
You should summon a dinosaur to rampage through the store. So now this subclass is pertinent to you specifically.
Yeah, exactly. You could give
That's important.
you give it Titanic stride and it could move really fast.
Now, I'm super curious about this Runecrafter thing because I do love. One of my favorite things was like artificers in my old in 3.5 was people that were creating awesome magic items, and that was their whole deal. That they were just covered in magic items and, you know,
Totally.
went into war able to just destroy everyone because they had spent years crafting all the cool shit that they were wearing.
Yeah, there's actually a book series that I listen to because I don't read books because my brain doesn't like reading. But essentially, like the whole point was like everyone has like these different magical powers essentially, and the main character basically gets the power of, you know, basically the artificer, and everyone around him is like, oh, that's like the shittiest one, blah blah blah, and his dad's like super disappointed because his dad's like a combat. But it was so cool because the author, I guess technically the main character, was so creative in his use of magic items that it didn't even matter, and he was able to stand toe to toe with people that had significantly better abilities because he was creative. And I just love how I was like, I loved the book series so much because it was like, if I was an artificer and I could like use these properties, and it was all related to runes, and just the creativity was just so cool.
Well, for me,
So
that
cool.
is definitely like Batman versus Superman. You know,
Right?
like it's very much, are you the fly around godlike person with all of the magical abilities, or are you the guy that has to figure out how to stop someone like that? You know,
Right? Yeah.
So we've got Wizard Runecrafter. Runecrafter wizards enhance their spell casting through the ancient power of, oh my god, this new apartment. I did not realize this on a major thoroughfare.
No?
So I am gonna have to
like
get a fabulous microphone that will cut out all the crazy sounds.
Well,
for these
speaking
outside.
of that, how would you feel about doing another quick 5-minute break? How are you feeling?
We could definitely do another little 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Now that the cops are apparently after me.
Yeah. How's he got to take care of the cops? So we'll be back.
So,
whether it's shout at them
run,
or get arrested, we'll figure out which one when we come back.
Make sure that you are hydrating and all of that good stuff. Don't forget to go over to heroforge.com and go make a fabulous character like the Gorf that you see right behind Lando. In addition, do not forget to enter our Dice giveaway by hitting !raffle. And we will see you in just a moment.
All right. Bye.
Hello! I hope that everybody had a lovely little break there. I know I did. And now we are going to look at the Runecrafter wizard. I'm very excited to see what this has. I hope that it's not disappointing like the Druid was.
Yeah,
that was disappointing.
Me too.
All right, let's look at it. All right, Runecrafter wizards enhance their spellcasting through the ancient power of runes. Though the tradition originated with the giant runecasters of old, Runecraft magic has expanded to encompass countless languages and practitioners across different worlds. For many runecrafters, the runes they wield are every bit as unique and personal as their spellbook. Some strive to honor the practice's origins among the giants, engraving their runes on decorative stones that adorn their spellcasting implements, while others messily scribble their runes on scraps of paper. Okay, all right, so cool. I am into written things. I do enjoy that. There was in and I know I keep going back to the well of 3.5, but there's a lot.
No, that's totally fair. I mean,
one of my favorite races in 3.5 was this fabulous race where they were living language. They were actually the embodiment of language, and each of them had runes just circling their heads that would like create life for them. Depending at first level and at second level, you would pick a rune, and each individual rune would give you a power, and then the two runes that you chose together would give you an additional power. And it normally had to do either with like being better at combat or like amplifying spells or stuff like that. And they were just delightful. They were just a fabulous race. So
that is cool. Do you remember their called?
All right, cool. So Runes of Understanding at second level, your study of runecraft has unlocked the ability to decode runes and languages regardless of their origin. You always have comprehend languages prepared. You can cast it without expending a spell slot, and the spell doesn't count against the number of spells you have prepared. Ooh, so essentially you get comprehend languages as a cantrip, which is delightful. I love that. Just the ability just to know, you just get it.
You just read it.
Runic Empowerment, also at second level. When you choose this subclass, you learn how to amplify your magic through the application of various runes. Your knowledge of these runes is stored in your spellbook, though you determine the rune's cosmetic appearance. For example, your runes could be engraved into the cover of your spellbook, glowing whenever you cast a spell, or you could work the shape and meaning of the runes directly into a spell's somatic and verbal components. When you cast a spell using a spell slot, you can invoke one of the following runes. Life Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You can choose yourself. The chosen creature gains temporary hit points equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot. Okay. War Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you until the end of your next turn. Attack rolls that target the chosen creature gain a bonus equal to half the level of the spell slot expended. Cool. Wind Rune. When you invoke this rune, your speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended, and your movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. Ooh. These benefits last until the start of your next turn. You can invoke no more than one rune per spell. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So these are like empowerments of spells you're already casting, essentially.
Yeah, so because you're using runes, you can do these things. So at second level, your proficiency bonus is 2, which means you can only do 2 of them in a day.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, I like the fact that it's limited like that. But it's cool that like just casting a spell allows you to do these things as well.
You do a spell that wouldn't.
I just feel like I feel like it would be a little better if what you were doing was like with like the life rune. It has to be something that either defends a creature that you're casting a spell on, or gives them more life or something like that, so that they make sense thematically as you're doing them.
I also understand why they didn't specify too, because that would be like a pain to be like, well, here's a list of spells that it works with.
Yeah.
But I get the idea of being thematic. But I think it'd be interesting, like, oh, you cast Healing Word on someone and then they run fast now.
Well, don't forget this is for wizards, so you're never going to cast a Healing Word.
Sure. Okay, no, that actually. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
There's Sigils of Warding at 6th level. You can call on a rune of protection to guard yourself against threats. When you fail a Strength, Dexterity, Constitution saving throw, you can use your reaction to expend one use of your Runic Empowerment and succeed on the saving throw instead. I feel like I would never use my Runic Empowerment for anything except that.
Yeah, especially being a wizard. Strength, Dexterity, or Con are ones that you could dump fairly easily. And then you don't even have to choose. You don't even have to choose. You just, any of them you fail, you're like, actually, no. Fuck you, giant that tried to grapple me. I just say no.
Oh my god, right?
And you just say, look at my giant wizard muscles. My runes are too powerful, and then you spit on them.
I mean, like, I get it that it would be like a really cool, there would be some sort of runic amplification there. But like, yeah, I feel like it completely destroys the first use of Runic Empowerment. Like, there's just...
Yeah, I mean, maybe...
have a reason to do anything else with it.
I could see if there's there's certain spells that maybe having the ability to move quickly or like...
Sure, so the thing, the move...
Fringe
so
use
for
cases.
Me, the move quickly thing would really be the only one that would be worth it because you could escape a situation.
Yeah.
You know? You could, because you don't have the attacks of opportunity.
Or the life. I think the life could be a... You're a wizard. You're pretty squishy. 5 times, you're pretty, that could save your life for sure.
My thing is like the way that then scales is, let's say you want to cast, like you're at 9th or 10th level.
Yeah.
Most things at that level are going to be doing, 25 or 30 points of damage to you if they're concentrating on you in a round. And so you're only able to do 25 points of damage. So it might keep you alive for one extra round, instead of actually, so it's...
Basically, you shouldn't be getting hit anyway.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like,
no,
that's why running away would be the thing that would really...
not never, but like level 6, that's what? Proficiency bonus? That's 3? So you have to fail those saves 3 times before you get affected by it. That's... If you save it, that might be the thing that makes this class, like...
Yeah.
Real
super crazy. All right. Let's see what this is. Rune Maven. Okay, so I've got to say, Maven is one of my favorite words. Do you know what a Maven is?
No.
So it was traditionally used to indicate a fashion maven, and it's somebody who is at the top of their game and like is the person who's ahead of the trends. So a Rune Maven is like a specialist in this. Your understanding of Runecraft has grown immensely. Whenever you use your Arcane Recovery feature, you also regain a number of your expended uses in Runic Empowerment. The number of uses you regain can be no more than half your intelligence modifier rounded up. So you could get +3. You get 3 of them back every, at least once a day.
That's the wizard
that's legit. That's all those extra saving throws.
I feel like if you constantly used all those saving throws, you would just have to be like a buff wizard, like just like an absolute shack.
I absolutely disagree. I think that it is that you could absolutely set up a situation where, if you're, let's say, running through a battlefield and trying to avoid getting grappled, it's something where very specifically, like, you can have runes engraved on your ropes that just suddenly turn into spikes. So they try to grab you.
That's okay. That's super cool.
Shit like that. Like there is
like some kind of trap magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's actually super
you
cool.
could absolutely have like dragons engraved on your robe that like bite somebody's hand as they try to grapple you. Like
that's cool. Okay, this so far is not disappointing.
No, this one's fun. I feel like this one's fun. All right, Engraved Enmity. At 14th level, You have mastered the art of wielding your runes directly against your foes. As a bonus action, you can target a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be magically marked by an enmity rune. The enmity rune appears as a faintly glowing mote of energy that hovers over the marked creature, which suffers the following effects. Runecraft's Bane. The creature has disadvantage on saving throws made against the spells you cast. Unveiled Enemy. The radiance of the glowing rune makes the creature visible if it's invisible, and the creature can't become invisible while the rune persists. Woeful Curse. When you mark the creature as a bonus action on subsequent turns for the duration, you can invoke the enmity rune to curse the creature until the start of your next turn. The next time one of your allies hits the cursed creature with an attack roll, the target takes 1d8 force damage and the curse ends. The enmity rune lasts for 1 minute or until you lose your concentration. Once you have marked a creature this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Unless you expend a spell slot of 3rd level or higher to use this feature again. Oh, damn.
What? That's
insane.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
That is and it's you
So
just there's not even
up.
repeating throws. You're just
Yeah.
marked.
This is, I mean, I feel like this is definitely like, if you want to be a controller caster, like, this is the thing for you.
Devastating.
Just being like, I would absolutely give up a friggin' fireball to be able to mark a dragon, you know?
Oh yeah. Totally.
And then
Like,
charm the shit. I mean, because all the stuff that you could do to it after, it has disadvantage on all of its saving throws.
yeah, after.
You know,
That's
can't go invisible. Like, this is, that's delightful.
that's so good, and so like, especially like if you're like fighting like a boss, and
Yeah.
you know, assuming you know, like the legendary resistance things, like, you know, once you get through those, and if you can get them marked, that's like you're smooth sailing from there.
Oh my god! So I am definitely into this class.
Yeah.
100% as a wizard class. For a controller wizard, 100%. For like an evoker, probably not.
Yeah, it's more like support and like utility.
Yeah, but things like an abjurer wizard or a transmutation wizard. Oh, a transmutation wizard. Just polymorphing everybody all over the place.
I mean, this is a subclass of its own. You don't really combine it, but like, I mean, yeah, like you use the transformation spells and whatnot. Yeah, 100%. Honestly, Diraxis would love this kind of class, because Diraxis doesn't really do much damage. He just likes to fuck with things, and this really does that.
Absolutely, that's what this is. This is the fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Because you can do all the things. Oh, yeah, I really like this one. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, this is great.
I was super glad I wasn't disappointed with this one.
Yeah, the first one is overpowered. The second one is But this one,
I think this one's like, I 100% agree. You know.
All right. Well, let's look at some of these little feats.
Let's do it.
So let's start with Elemental Touched. You've been exposed to the primordial magic of the elemental planes, granting you a measure of control over the natural world around you. You learn either the Druidcraft Thaumaturgy cantrip using Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma as your spellcasting ability. Choose it when you get the feat. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can choose which element you are tuned to: air, earth, fire, or water. Depending on your choice, you can use a bonus action to cause one of the following effects. If you're tuned to air, you gain a fly speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn. If you are airborne at the end of your turn after using your this movement and aren't held aloft by other means, you fall. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Earth, you cause the ground within 30 feet of you to become difficult terrain for 1 minute or until you create this effect again. During that time, you can move across the ground that is difficult terrain without spending extra movement. Okay. Fire, you surround yourself in a cloud of ash and smoke until the end of your turn. Your movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. Okay. Water, you can create a forceful surge of water directed at a creature within 15 feet you can see. They need to do a strength saving throw or be pushed 10 feet away from you. The water vanishes immediately after the creature succeeds or fails. You can create this effect a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you gain all expended effects uses when you finish a long rest. I hate that feat.
Because it's good?
No.
Or because of the flying?
Well, no. So the flying thing is fine, but essentially what it gives you, if you're a typical person, let's say you take that at 4th level, you've got a 3 proficiency bonus. So you can add a total of you can fly for 90 feet.
I mean, on different turns, yeah.
No, total. Because this ends at the end of your turn. And you can only use it 3 times. So if you have average walking speed of 30, you can only move 90 feet. Total. And you have to use up all 3 of your uses there.
Oh, I read it as it's an individual use. You turn it on with a bonus action. You go 30 feet if that's your walking speed.
You gain a fly speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn.
Yeah. That'd just be like 30 feet, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could use a dash action to make it 60,
sure.
But then it's done. And then you would have to use a bonus action the next turn to do it again. And you only have as many as proficiency bonus. So 4th level, you only have 3 uses of that. So maximum, that's 180 feet of flight.
Yeah. Over the course of that many turns.
3 turns. Over the course of 3 turns, and you have to use your action to get that. If you don't want to use your action, you only have 90 feet. So for me, the air part is friggin' useless, except in very specific
Honestly, I was thinking, a good example. Worf would fucking love that. Because he's a monk, and he's got the fall thing. He could just fly. I think his walking speed right now is 55 feet or something stupid.
Sure, but what's the point of that?
I don't know. It's cool.
Action. But then you have to mechanically, you'd have to use your bonus action.
No, that's totally true too.
Else,
yeah, I'm trying to think of
And I'm so the Earth, you can cause the ground within 30 feet of you to become difficult terrain. And it's so everybody has to use a little extra movement.
Yeah.
To
Fire's not bad, but you might as well just take the mobile feat.
Yeah. There's.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. The fire one isn't bad, but again, you can only do it, 3 times at 4th level.
I could see maybe a monk, or not a monk. I guess a rogue just has to disengage as a bonus action anyway.
Yeah.
So, who uses this?
Yeah, for me, I just feel like it's a fun flavor feat that you could give to somebody, but I would feel bad if I told a player they should pick this as one of their actual feats.
Yeah.
In addition, because it also doesn't give you any sort of plus to any of your attributes.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at Ember of the Fire Giant, 8th level. You've manifested the fiery combat emblematic of fire giants, granting you the following benefits. Born of Flame, you have resistance to fire damage. Already fabulous.
Yep.
Already
fire
great.
is super common.
Yep. Searing Ignition. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with a magical burst of flame. Each creature of your choice within 15 feet that you can see must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes fire damage equal to 2d6 plus your proficiency bonus and is blinded until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage with no additional effects. You can use the Searing Ignition a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's okay. That's really, really good.
That's amazing.
I mean, the 2d6 is just bonus, really. 15 feet, blinding people? That's...
And it's within 15 feet of you, so a 15-foot radius.
Yeah, that's so good.
Or something. It's just everyone you shout to your friends, cover your eyes.
Oh shit!
Boom.
It's not even a full action. So if you have multiple attacks, you could do this first, blind people.
So on the attack action, you replace one of your attacks.
Yeah. So
if you have
attacks,
yeah,
you could use it, blind people, and then attack them with advantage.
Yes. Absolutely.
Dang.
Absolutely. This
Wow.
this feat, I will say absolutely this feat is 100% overpowered, and I love it.
I love. That's why they made it level 8, which,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
you know, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
I mean, I would have added something like a prerequisite, like you have to be able to like cast a fire spell of some kind or have fire heritage. You know, you have to have some way to create this ability.
Sure. No, I mean, I know you think. I totally get that from like a storytelling perspective, but in terms of the game of D&D, most of the time you're like, you could just have this, you know. Like I get that they're not like restricting
Well,
it because people will get upset.
That's one of the other differences between this and 3.5 is that in 3.5 there were a lot of prerequisites to feats. And there were a lot of feats where there were prerequisite feats. So you had like a feat chain.
Honestly, I wish there was more of that, where you could have more options for feats, and then just have more prerequisites.
Yeah,
You know?
well, and it's like that would be a thing where it's like, you know, maybe like elemental touch would be a prerequisite. Like you'd have to take elemental. Now, mind you, with 3.5, you also got a feat. I think it was every 3 levels instead of every 4, which is a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, and then each class would give you extra feats. You know, so there is. So, but in this situation, absolutely, like saying you have to take elemental touch at 4th in order to take, you know, this feat.
Or unless you have another reason for why you would be able to do fire stuff. Like maybe you're a Dragonborn or a Fire Ganassi.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, let's see. Fury of the Frost Giant. This one is 4th level. You've manifested the Icy Might, emblematic of Frost Giants, granting you the following benefits. You have resistance to cold damage. Fabulous. When a creature hits you, or Frigid Vengeance. When a creature hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to retaliate with a burst of magical ice. It says a burst of magical ire. I'm wondering if they mean anger or if that was supposed to be ice. There's a burst of magical anger.
I mean, it technically makes sense, but...
it does make sense with ire, because it's a frightened thing. So the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened of you until the start of your next turn. So you get very angry. All right. You can use your reaction in this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I feel like that's legit. I would make it a thing where it's like, because this is ice and the other one's fire, you cannot have both. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
That's what I would do. But I love the fact that at 4th level you can gain resistance to cold, and then at 8th level you can gain resistance to fire. You know,
you just become a collector of resistances.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's.
And then
go.
Lord, you've got all the giants. All right, Guile of the Stone Giant, or of the Cloud Giant. You've manifested the airy speech and magic emblematic of Cloud Giants, granting you the following benefits. Misty Form. You can cast the Blur spell without using a spell slot or material components. When you cast a spell in this way, the spell doesn't require you to maintain concentration on it. Nice. Once you cast the spell in this way, you can't do so again when you finish a long rest. You can also cast a spell in a normal way using spell slots you have at the appropriate level. And you get to pick your spellcasting ability for this. And Silver Tongue, you gain proficiency in either the Deception or Persuasion skill. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make using this skill. That Blur thing by itself, because Blur, I think, is 10 rounds.
Yeah, it might be.
I think it's 1 minute.
And it doesn't require concentration either.
Yeah, that's huge. So even if you get knocked out, like, you're still blurred, which is delightful.
That's pretty good.
There's Keenness of the Stone Giant. You've manifested the protection and spellcasting emblematic of Stone Giants, granting you following benefits. Dreamer's Magic. You learn the Detect Thought spell and 1 first-level spell slot of your choice, or 1 first-level spell of your choice. The first-level spell must be from the Abjuration or the Divination School of Magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Very nice. Once you cast either of these spells this way, you can't cast the spell this way again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have at the appropriate level, and you get to choose your spell casting ability. And then Mountain Sight. You gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision from another source, the range increases by 30 feet. I feel like that's legit for like a sorcerer. Like that could be super useful, having like mage armor, like that you can just cast once a day without having to expend a spell slot. You know, that's delightful, and detect thoughts is great. And then getting dark vision with it.
I'm just confused about how it's stone giants. Maybe I'm thinking of hill giants, but aren't stone giants stupid?
No, hill giants are stupid.
Ah, okay. I did get those mixed up. I was like, huh?
Let's look at this outsized might. You have absorbed primeval magic that allows you, despite your relatively small stature, to embody the might of titanic creatures. This grants you the following benefits. Little but mighty. You gain proficiency in either the athletics or acrobatics skill. Cool. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the amount you can push, drag, or lift. And stalwart. You have advantage on saving throws against being moved or knocked prone. Sure.
I like that. That's fun.
It's fine. Like for me, that's like a nice sort of filler feat. Like that's a nice that would be like a feat that you would reward to somebody instead of having to take it, because there's feats that are just so much better mechanically.
Yeah.
You know.
It
Rune
would be...
Carver Apprentice.
Yeah.
What?
No, that's fine. You can move on.
Rune Carver Apprentice. You've begun studying the art of runecraft, which allows you to temporarily mark your items and imbue them with magic. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can mark one non-magical weapon, armor, piece of clothing, or other object you can touch with a rune of your choice. You temporarily learn one first-level spell based on the rune you choose, as specified in the rune spells table. And you know the spell until you finish a long rest, when the rune fades. Okay, so you can learn False Light, Fog Cloud, Ray of Signix, Chromatic Orb, Bane, Burning Hands, Bless, Armor of Agathis, Good Very Long Strider, Command, Guiding Bolt, and Cure Wounds. Ooh, I mean, so that's great.
Well, and then up top, there's Jump, Shield, Sanctuary, Thunderwave, Heroism, and Featherfall too.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and you can swap them out.
Rune marked object, you can cast the chosen spell associated with the rune once without using a spell slot or material components, and you can also cast the spell using any spell slots you have. Your spell casting ability, that's amazing for like a sorcerer, you know, like the ability to, or even like a wizard, the ability to cast a healing spell. Huge.
Yeah. Or I was even thinking like someone that doesn't normally have magic, that just learn how to like arch into a rock, and they're like, maybe this spell. Like that'd be kind of a cool flavor thing to, like, you know, add out an interesting kind of character like a fighter, or maybe even a barbarian, and be like, I learned how to make shapes in rocks, and now I can cast magic. Like that, I think that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yes, I love that. I'm thinking about how like ridiculous it would be for the DM when suddenly the wizard can cast a 6th level Cure Wounds.
Yeah.
On somebody. Like there's.
Yeah, the Cure Wounds in there is definitely, or Bless. Those are two really substantial spells that wizards don't get.
That are super, super useful.
Yeah.
Like Armor of Agathis too would be fabulous.
That's
like
definitely nice for sure.
Mage armor and Armor of Agathis on yourself, like there's.
It doesn't say anything about wait. Does it say anything about concentration? I don't think it did.
No, it's just you cast the spell normally. You just don't use the spell slot. That's still fabulous.
That's so good.
Oh my god! All right. Ooh, and now you've got Rune Carver Adept.
Oh.
And there is a prerequisite.
Oh, that's
with
cool.
Rune Carver Apprentice. Okay, I love it. All right. You get a gold star, Unearthed Arcana. You sure do. Your skill with the art of runecraft has increased. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can now mark a number of objects equal to your proficiency bonus with a rune for the Rune Carver Apprentice feat. An object can only have one room at a time. Let's describe a different rune on each object. So at higher levels, you get 6 free spells a day I mean, for a sorcerer, this is life-changing.
Yeah.
Or for a warlock, for that matter.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Warlock would be huge. I still like the idea of. I just think it's funny to have a fighter that doesn't know how to use magic and just draws pretty pictures in rocks and clothes and then casts magic.
I mean, I think about like a fighter like finding a pretty rock that he turns into a chromatic orb spell where he throws the rock and it turns into a chromatic orb.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, like there is, or like for me, like picking up a torch and inscribing the Burning Hands rune on it so that the fighter can go like
Yeah, totally.
Flames. Absolutely. I love it. It makes me
Yeah,
so happy.
I always like the idea where, non-magic classes have ways to cast magic in fun ways that aren't game breaking, but make the character interesting and more unique than just like I hit things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it. All right, Soul of the Storm.
Yeah. This one.
You've manifested divination abilities and tempest magic emblematic of storm giants, granting you the following benefits. Maelstrom Aura. As a bonus action, you surround yourself in an aura of magical wind and lightning that extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. The aura lasts for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. While the aura is activated, attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and whenever a creature starts its turn within the sphere, you can force the creature's speed to be halved until the start of its next turn. Once you use this bonus action, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. All right? Storm's Oracle. You can cast a divination spell, which is pretty powerful, as a ritual without needing material components. Once you cast a spell in this way, you can do so again until you finish a long rest. All right.
Wow, I would take that. I would take that just for the aura. That's really good.
And it doesn't require concentration, so you legitimately, well, let's look at the final one. Figure of the Hill Giant. You've manifested the resilience of a of hill giants, granting you the following benefits. Bulwark. When you are subjected to an effect that would move you at least 5 feet or knock you prone, you can use your reaction to steady yourself. You are then neither moved nor knocked prone. Okay. When you are subjected to a spell that restores your hit points, you can regain additional hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. You can regain these additional hit points a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish your long rest. So there are, one,
that's kind of mid.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 sort of giantish feats that give you things, right?
Yeah.
Would you be able to, like, if you did a variant human, so you got a feat at first level,
yeah,
that would be 1, and then 4th level, 8th level, 12th level, 16th level, and then 19th level you get your final feat?
No, 18.
18th level? Okay. So you could get all of them. If you got a variant human, you could start with. Are there any that allow you to do it at first level? No, there's not.
You could also do a fighter and have more feats too.
Oh yeah, you could absolutely be a fighter
all the giants fighter.
Oh my god, that would be so delightful. Some of these I love. Some of them are meh.
Yeah, I would pass on the Hill Giant. That's
the Rune Carver thing. Holy shit.
The Rune Carver, it's so fun.
That is amazing. Because like if you're a variant human and you start out with Rune Carver Apprentice, then at 4th level you suddenly get 5 spells.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
That's so good. So good.
And the thing is that I feel like it would scale really well because not only do you get those spells, you can also cast them using other spell slots.
Yeah.
So you can level them up as necessary. That's
oh my god. Yeah, I think it's great. I really like the Maelstrom Aura. I think that's super cool too. I was just thinking about like if I could take a feat for Gore for Daraxis, it'd be like I was thinking like how fun it would be Maelstrom Aura, because right now currently Rage is a bonus action, his arms going out's a bonus action, and this is a bonus action. So he'd be setting up for 3 rounds
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
things to do.
Yeah, no, I love that.
That'd be so
I
funny.
mean, but it's important. It's important as a DM to make sure that somebody can't do 7 fucking things in one round. You know,
No,
that
totally.
you actually have to. You've got to spend the time
Yeah.
and build it up, you know, and get where you want to go. And if somebody can stop you from doing something on a round, then that breaks the chain. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
There's and Havoc Mythos. I really want like wizards to be able to create scrolls more easily too. Like I think it's huge. In 3.5, it was a whole thing where like, you know, when you get up to higher levels, you no longer spent your first level spell slots to do anything but create spell scrolls. You know, because it would cost you so little to write them, and they're worth so much if you do them well. And I remember, I think it was in 2E where it's like you actually got instead of like in 3.5 you actually have to spend your experience. So you would expend experience points in order to create magic items. So if you
you like level down?
So you could never spend enough experience points that you would lose a level, which is what sort of limited at different levels what you could create, right? And what would happen is that, and that was different than version 2 because, for AD&D, because in AD&D you actually gained experience from making magic items. So I loved that concept because you could go out adventuring and then come back and use everything that you had gotten to create some magic item. And that was a way that a fairly low-level person could actually level up. And for me, it totally made sense because as you make these magic items, you are gaining more proficiency in making magic items.
Yeah.
And gaining your experience that way. It's sort of like when you're playing Skyrim, you can level up as a blacksmith instead of just leveling up all of your combat stuff, you know? So I absolutely agree. But I would love to hear what you all think of this Unearthed Arcana. I absolutely adored some of this stuff. Some of it was rant. That druid thing was rant. That made me sad.
It made me sad for the potential what it could have been.
Right? I'm like, stop it. Stop making me sad.
Yeah.
Stop making me sad, druid.
Oh, I want a dragon. I want a dinosaur.
I want a dinosaur too, damn it. Damn it! I want a dinosaur.
Overall, these feats are pretty cool.
No, I agree. I think that they were super creative. Like that they were just they're. I love the rune stuff because at heart I am definitely an artificer. You know, somebody that just loves making magic items and stuff like that. I'm also super into like crafts. You know, where it's like setting up like runic traps on the floor and stuff like that. Just makes me happy. There was one I created a wizard tower where the runes were all behind. Like there were just these gorgeous tapestries, and these runes essentially were set up as anti-theft devices. Where it would be everything would be fine unless you removed the tapestry, at which point this thing would literally blow up in your face. So that's always delightful. That's super fun.
That's a thing.
There's and everybody hit exclamation raffle if you want some fabulous Phoenix dice. And then we are going to raid into Heroes and Hooligans, who is a delightful group who are part of our Rolling Together stream team. Yay!
Baptiste says, I want a circle of pizza. I don't know about a circle of pizza,
too.
but I definitely want a pizza. Pizza sounds really.
Pizza sounds delightful. I'm just gonna send everybody my address and just dox myself and
just hope that people said pizza instead of other stuff, I guess.
All right, now who is winning these fabulous dice?
Closing it up. And the winner is...
Who is it?
Heroes and Hooligans!
Hooligans!
What?
Oh my god, Hooli!
Well,
absolutely. Hooli, send me a message on Discord And we're about to raid into you, hun, and I will get you some fabulous Phoenix dice. Huzzah!
Yay!
And everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Do not forget our sponsor, Hero Forge. Go check out heroforge.com. And we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for Delver's Dreams.
Yes.
Yay!
Great.
It's going to be absolutely glorious. Going to see all the fabulous people. We're going to do all the fabulous things, is what we're going to do. And in just a few seconds, we're going to raid, because I didn't hit it until just this moment.
I was starting to wave, and I was like, oh, it's a little bit of time yet.
Now I'm going to say goodbye. Mwah!
Bye, everybody. Take care.